let's let's do. All right, let's do this. James O'Keefe for the next part of his expose. Is
there going to be a lot of Jason Bourne music playing? And cool jackets?
We elected what?
Cities burned.
I'll straight up get armed. The gulags and the persecution of the kulaks and things like that are exaggerated.
It is unfortunate that we have to make plans for extreme action. We don't want to scare people off, so you kind of got to feel it out first before you get into the crazy stuff like Antifa. You know, you're talking about the yellow vests.
It's going to take militancy, and if necessary, just destroy property.
I think it's also fair to point out that when we were in Moscow, for example, people here also were extremely impressed by their public transportation system.
The trains. What about the trains?
Meet Daniel Taylor and Mason Baird, both.
That's a guy? He's got a pretty cool...
You scared yet?
He's got a really cool septum piercing.
Are you guys scared yet? Huh? Mike, what are you going to do? This guy walks up to your door and tells you, revolution now. What are you going to do?
I'm going to go. Thank you. I already put the tip on the app. Did you get all of the sauces that I requested?
Field organizers for the Sanders campaign in South Carolina. And the next two subjects of our undercover investigation of extreme radicalism inside the Sanders campaign.
I canvassed with someone who's like an anarchist, and I canvassed with someone who's more of a Marxist-Leninist, and so we do we track radical, like truly radical people to the campaign, but that's obviously not like outward-facing sort of.
Right. And Bernie, does he know that?
Well, I think the goal is just to build a build a coalition of people, and a lot of those people who do that kind of work are their politics fall well outside of the American sort of norm. So they're Marxist-Leninists, they're anarchists, they're these types of folks, and
imagine being an anarchist and working for a political campaign. No, seriously. Do you understand like the level of not understanding what you are?
Like you almost understand it with fascists because they're like, well, I'm trying to get in on the ground floor, try to get in on that medical plan, dental when that kicks in. So yeah, but with this, it's like, yeah, man, anarchy, dude. And the first way to do that is by building a humongous, giant, living, breathing government organism that just never dies, bro.
And they have more of a mind.
No, seriously, I know. I mean, I'm pausing, and only because when you really think about it, right? Imagine being an anarchist that wants the government to control everything.
Yeah, because I want them to enforce my idea of anarchy.
Oh, democratic anarchy.
With tanks.
I got it.
So they use the tanks, and they enforce what my concept of anarchy is with the tanks and the authority.
For direct action, for engaging in politics outside of the electoral system.
Like here we think of, gulags being sent off to Russia, to Siberia, and like lock you up, throw away the key. And they were saying that is such a misconception. They're like re-education camps. Mm-hmm. Do you know anything about that?
That's weird, because there's another group of people. You could call them historian hobbyists, and they like.
I like that name. I really like that.
Yeah. Hobby historians, and they like to go back and like dig through historic events, look at like entry logs, rosters. They look at the old infrastructure, the old official reports. And a lot of times they'll start to sort of bring to the forefront some burning questions they might have about other historic events. But when they do it, their bank calls and says, we can't let you hold your money in this bank anymore. And also you're fired.
You reminded me of something. Do you ever listen to, and I actually recommend this to people. You ever heard of Dan Carlin's Hardcore History?
I've heard of the name Dan Carlin.
So Dan Carlin's is...
Carlton.
Carlin. Brendan.
Being a dick.
So it's a pretty good thing. He just goes through like these different historical events and kind of pieces it together. And to his credit, he's not. It's 100% information, right? Like he's not politically biased. Like it's not like it's just like this is the records say. Here's the audio that we have. And I was watching an episode of Hardcore History, right? And he was talking about World War II. And he made a comment that I thought was I was like, I had to rewind it. And I go, what did he just say? He goes, so, it's kind of like, with the Holocaust, where they came up with the number 6 million. Now, do we know if that number is accurate? No. But they had to come up with a number. And he didn't say it like, he wasn't like Reed Siege. He was just, this is the data. This is what we know. There's no way to confirm this, but they had to come up with and I was like, when stuff like that, like it was very telling.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think at least my reading of kind of that Cold War era is that you had two massive, you had these huge opposing ideologies and empires and superpowers.
I'm sorry, but I'm not going to listen to a guy who's wearing his boyfriend's sweater. Like, I'm sorry, I can't take you seriously. Look, and I'm not saying that you should take guys that look like us seriously, right? But the difference is
everything we say.
The difference is the stuff that we do is we're telling jokes and we're trying to be funny. Like these people are actually trying to start a goddamn revolution,
A dance revolution.
Yeah.
And when you have that much power, each side is going to do everything it can to control a narrative and to sort of have its own truth, to support its sort of power structure and things like that. And so I think that if we pay attention to the lived experience of people in post-Soviet states and in Russia and things like that, then we do find that, like a lot of the stories were told in the United States about, the gulags and the persecution of the kulaks and things like that are exaggerated. I think there were certainly excesses and certain, our own American empire has its own excesses, of course. So
no, I know, but the people that wrote about the gulag weren't Americans. The people that wrote about the gulag were people that lived through. Like, we're not talking. It wasn't some dude in America that wrote it. The people that wrote about the gulags were people that lived through it.
So I think, I think that it's probably exaggerated on our side.
And again, we bring up this point that we're seeing that. So for people that think it was just one person, imagine making this same exact statement, but changing gulags to another word. Like, imagine if you do that. Like,
I would never do that.
I've been in a car with you on road trips.
I meant on the air.
Oh, you're right. Okay, cool. Well, I secretly recorded
I
you,
didn't
Mike.
mean after a couple of fucking vodkas at Christmas time, it's not going to come out.
We can't keep inviting Mike over. He ruins Christmas.
He fucking starts getting hammered drunk, and then he goes up to the fucking baby Jesus manger scene and starts doing The Godfather. Look how they massacred my boy.
I actually hung out with Mike on Thanksgiving, and he was like, "Excuse me, do you know the greatest lie ever told? Do you know the biggest lie?
Moonbeams are cold.
It's cold.
Maybe
there's 200 proofs in the Talmud if you look it up.
There's also a little bit of over justification or excuses for the excesses that probably did occur, but we certainly don't have.
So, like, you agree with me, Mike? Men who have septum piercings should be rocketed into the sun, right?
Without hesitation.
Just
without hesitation.
Shot into the sun. The SpaceX program should be the Based X program, where we just take these people and we send them to the sun.
I like that.
A straight perspective on that stuff here in America.
I don't think you've ever had a straight perspective on anything, sir.
No. Arrested, protect. Yeah, we know.
This hasn't worked. We've tried it for 3 years. He's still there and he gets stronger.
Well, for me personally, I I have no problem going all in on the campaign stuff because you are planting a seed. You need people to understand that the things that we're fighting for are things we should have had all along. But for a lot of people, it seems extreme because it never has been. You know, a lot of the social programs that we're pushing are things that other countries have had for a long time, but we've never.
Yes, and other countries have acid attacks, knife attacks, making you choose whether your dying child can have a fucking medical procedure. Like, these aren't utopias. Like, look, on the one hand, they're telling you, man, these countries sure exaggerate stuff, but not their successes. These countries that have these social programs aren't exaggerating their successes.
Well, you know, they say a lot of, Chernobyl did a lot of good for, like, research science and stuff like that. You know what I mean? They learned a lot about the effects of radiation on forests and lives and people, animals.
Yeah, well, in the same way the Holocaust did a lot of help to make Israel a nation. Like,
Got us to the moon.
Hey, you know what? You're right.
And I'm proud to be an American.
Like the whole socialist thing 4 years ago was a lot more toxic than it is today. I think people are finally starting to realize that maybe it's not such a bad thing.
What's troubling is Barrett and Taylor both speak of the possibilities of extreme violence coming from the Sanders campaign and want to keep it hush-hush in order, quote, not to scare people off, unquote.
You all look so mild-mannered, but boy, you've got fire in your belly, don't you?
Well, I think,
No, ma'am, that's IBS.
We don't want to scare people off, so you kind of got to...
Also, can you watch his phone for a couple minutes? I'll be right back.
I gotta go right now.
First, before you get into the crazy stuff, but...
What kind of crazy stuff? Tell me.
We were talking about, more extreme organizations and stuff like Antifa. You're talking about the yellow vests and all that. But
I love how these little fucking guys.
Don't say it, yeah.
Guys.
I know what you're thinking.
I love how these little fucking guys have tried to hijack the yellow vest movement.
Well, they're just
which
like
has
them.
nothing to do with what you're talking
Nah,
about.
they're just like them, dude. Revolution.
You know the difference between these guys and the yellow vest people? The yellow vest people had jobs.
But, we're kind of keeping that on the back burner for right now.
Do you think that when Bernie's elected and now you've got all those Trump people, and we're talking, that was a pretty tight split. Mm-hmm. So you've got almost half the country that are haters. How are you going to tame that beast? What are you going to do with them?
Yeah, what are you going to do?
You need something really radical. What you're proposing is great, and I agree with you.
Okay, look, again, I love what Project Veritas has been doing with this. She's kind of leading the witness.
Yeah, she's...
You notice that?
It's also like, when are we going to kill some federal agents and blow up a building with people in it? Maybe innocent people. Maybe maim and kill them. When do we do that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, Scott, can I talk to you in the hallway real quick? This lady's a little weird, right?
Her purse keeps beeping.
I'm just saying, when are we going to murder some FBI agents? Please speak loudly and clearly. All right, lady.
The best thing is by example, but that takes forever. These people are angry.
Yeah.
They're not going to...
Yeah, it is a huge source of anxiety.
Yeah, like, I'm going to listen to someone who can't afford AirPods. Get the fuck out of here.
So, it's like, that's definitely...
But, I think we have to think in those ways,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And it's with my family, too. It's like, within my family that I have this kind of
Trumpites.
Confronted by that kind of stuff, and not even explicitly Trump people, just that they if push came to shove, they would go that way, and that is.
Somebody says this girl has tiny tits. They said you sound like George Costanza's mother when you do that. That's actually, you do. That's very good. That's a very good reference. I like that. What was the question again? I'm in a lot of kratom.
It's sort of it's gonna take it's gonna take
money, a whole lot of spending money. It's gonna take patience and money.
My parents' money, by the way.
Yeah.
It's my parents' money.
You're right. Like, I don't get it. Like, yeah, sure, my parents left me a trust fund, but they voted for Trump.
Gross.
Ew.
But I'm still not going to give their money back.
No, I'm not.
How do we do it?
Militant labor movement.
What?
Is kind of our last real kind of chance before.
Look, hey, listen, Scott Pressler, I know you're trying to go undercover, but we figured you out, bud.
You know, we try other
means,
and I just don't see it as that. An empire's never been sort of toppled through internal.
Is he a dog? What is he
struggle?
doing?
An empire has never been toppled through an internal struggle? Is that what he just said?
Look, Royce.
What about the French Revolution?
He's speaking in abstracts. I don't know. I've got nothing.
Yeah, it's tough, right?
Yeah.
It's because you're trying to wonder where he's coming from.
He's trying to get Bernie Sanders elected president.
You're right.
And this is the kind of person you're dealing with to begin with.
So it's like, I don't really see that working out, you know?
You know, where do we have all this momentum, where do we go after it's over, regardless of the outcome? Because it's not gonna, I feel like change is not gonna happen easily, regardless. Even if Bernie is elected, change will not come swiftly or easily. So we have to, you know, the connections that we're making now within the campaign and with other volunteers and at events, it's very important that we retain that, regardless of the outcome. And, you know, it is unfortunate that we have to make plans for extreme action, but like I said, they're not going to give it to us, even if Bernie is elected.
Barrett is so extreme, he speaks as if it's common knowledge Sanders will, quote, abolish landlords, unquote.
That's anti-Semitic.
That's anti-Semitic.
That is the most anti-Semitic thing this gentleman has said.
How dare you,
You know,
sir?
and Bernie Sanders was talking about getting landlords and rounding them up in some sort of landlord camp. Did you hear about this?
Sort of keeping them all
right
concentrated in
and
one area.
contained is the word. Right. Yeah.
Well, just getting a bunch of people together. You call it that,
A
right?
concentration of people?
Yes.
That is a very, let me tell you something, man. The amount of anti-Semitism coming out, what the fuck? I love Bernie Sanders now.
And even compares Sanders' revolution to the Russian Revolution of 1917. He seems to think that even though he'd like less bloodshed, armed struggle is inevitable.
After we abolish landlords, we don't have to kill them. You know what I'm saying? that's my feeling. I think that's damaging to the soul.
Why is his face blurred? Nobody else's. Clearly nobody signed releases, right? Is he underage, maybe?
But, there you go, Micah.
So you hate mega corporations, you hate landlords, you hate all that, but you buy huge cases of Kirkland water from Costco.
Yeah, bro, because it's cheap.
Okay.
Yeah, there were plenty of excesses in 1917 that I would hope to avoid.
You know what other place had excesses, Mike? I'm just gonna rant it. Remember Weimar?
A lot of excess.
This is the most anti-Semitic video the Bernie campaign has ever put out.
Yeah, this guy's really kind of pushing.
He's out there, man.
But
I admire it.
I know why the black guy's getting blurred. They just never unblurred him when he was on Cops.
That's what it is.
It just stays that way.
There's a software built in that automatically blurs the faces of perps.
Yeah. So yeah, we got.
And anytime you're a black guy, it automatically blurs you.
Yeah.
I'm very, like I said, I'm very black and white. I see things in very binary terms, and I just see a big clash.
And I like to keep them separated. Just me personally, just like laundry.
I'm a big Offspring fan.
Happening, and it's going to be a power struggle, and power struggles are not nice. You don't.
Joya Bessie goes, Royce, that's not cool. He's not blurred. He has a condition.
If your way out of them.
No.
It's the strong, it's the law of the jungle.
Right. I think.
So how do you jungle up?
Talking about seeing things binary to a black guy and saying, why don't you jungle up is probably not the best.
I think it goes back again for me. It's like labor. I think that's a big source of power for us.
Hey, Mike with the Bernie
And
Sanders
just try
campaign.
to
I
gain
just want
as
to
much
invite Miss
leverage
Sandra
and
to a event
power
we're having. Are you Miss Sandra?
in the short time that we have before.
See you back again. Take care. 1917 Redux.
Right, because I mean it's really incredible. I mean, you know, Lenin didn't have the internet.
And he wrote Imagine.
No, that's a different Lenin.
You sure their policies were pretty much the same?
Yeah. No, the Lenin from the communist Lenin was actually nicer to his kids.
You're right. He got along with more Asians too.
Yeah.
They weren't. I mean, they weren't. I mean, they were a peasant society. I mean, it was like so.
Yeah, but the problem is here, Bernie Black Guy, is that there's not a peasant society. People aren't. You're talking when people didn't have food and it's not the same. People are trying to recreate like this historical thing when it's really not. There's some similarities, but it's not the similarities you want to hear about.
Maybe it's just like, the gulags weren't that bad, dude.
Yeah, like
when we have like redistribution, like, all right, like how Jeff Bezos has like his own helicopter, right?
Uh-huh.
So like I don't have a helicopter. So like if we redistribute Jeff Bezos' money, then I'll have some of his money. Which is pretty cool.
Is there more? Or
No, I don't want to get a job, dude.
Okay, no, I get that part. Trust me, I get that.
It sounds like a real drag.
I would hope that like that we would.
Don't lose your train of thought.
We'd be doing a bunch of prep work, right, before the capitalists got hip to what we were
Yeah, but
doing.
here's the problem. You guys could do all this, like, I'm just trying to be realist here, right? I'm not even picking sides. You guys could do all this prep work, right? Which I'm assuming a lot of you are on prep. You could do all this prep work, right? You could have all this stuff behind the scenes. But once the rubber hits the road, when push comes to shove, when it becomes people on the ground fighting other people, one side, as much as MSNBC or CNN wants to laugh at them and call them hillbilly flyover morons, they're well armed, they're well trained, and they ain't giving shit up. Because it's funny to watch watch those doomsday preppers on TV. Don't get me wrong, they're a little crazy. But when fucking shit hits the fan, they're ready to go.
Yeah, where's your AR-15 and your bug-out bag and your can of beans?
Yeah, what are you going to do? When all the Starbucks are closed, right? All right? When the Uber Eats network goes down. Yeah.
They made fun of me when I was buying up all the beans. They made fun of me. They said, Mike, why are you buying up all the beans? Well, who's laughing now?
All that's behind him is ammo and just guns.
Ammo and beans.
Ammo.
That's all you need.
Who's laughing now? I love it. I love that idea. God, I'm already picturing what he looks. Yes.
The bean salesman?
Yes.
Sir?
But beans.
I'm sure they're probably having a good. I'm sure they're having a good chuckle as well.
Fucking beans. I'm just picturing an old man just wearing a camo, just camo head to toe with a Duck Dynasty beard.
Just surrounded by beans and guns.
I guess. I mean, that's kind of the best. I'm not excited about the prospect of like armed struggle.
Because you wouldn't know how to fucking use a gun if someone actually put a gun to your head.
Because you'll get murked.
Yeah, you'd be dead.
So that's.
But don't you see it? Do you see it as inevitable or not?
I see it as possible.
Huh?
I see it as possible.
Yeah.
You do?
Oh yeah.
I just never want to kill anybody.
You just reminded me of.
Scares me a lot.
Listen to this. It scares me.
I don't want to kill anybody.
I'm a communist, but killing people is scary.
That's why you'll never win. That's why you don't.
That's why you're a communist, because you want everybody else to do all the tough work for you.
That's why you'll never succeed.
So.
But aren't
in building this movement, are we moving it further along that way? Is that where we're going with it?
I would say most people in the movement are in it to avoid going that far.
Because if you went that far, you would be killed. The problem is, you know what it's like? It reminds me of one of the most famous things that that Mike Ehrmantraut said in Breaking Bad. No half measures.
Yeah.
If you want to do this gulag thing,
ride or die.
Then do it. But then be ready to do it all the way to the end. All right? If you're in this. Because here's the difference between you fucking commie bastards, right? And the fucking lunatics on the right. They'll go all the way. Like, I don't think you understand that mentality is like, if you're gonna take my freedoms, I'm gonna take your head.
Yeah,
that's just how it is. I don't think people understand how close we are at every moment to society falling apart, right? Like, if this coronavirus gets a little too crazy, society falls apart. The power grid goes down, society falls apart. We're always close to it. And the people you're calling crazy are ready, because I'm not saying these people are going to go out and shoot people on the streets now. But if it gets to the place where they have to defend their food or defend their family, who do you want? Do you want Bean Guy, or do you want this guy defending you? I choose Bean Guy.
Bean Guy has beans.
Thank you. I choose.
And I won't
Bean
have beans,
Guy.
and he won't have beans.
Yeah.
Bean Guy will have beans.
And there's a wing of the movement that sees that as the
inevitable.
Yeah.
Baird speaks of nationalizing things like Facebook and Google before diving into his talk of violence towards people's property.
And the first time in my life, maybe even, probably most of our lives in American history, we're going to have, if we have Bernie in the White House, we're going to have a real plan for dual power, where we'll have the presidency and we'll have...
We got to end here, but I just want to point something out. Are we talking about the same Bernie Sanders? Because you guys have made this guy into this idol that's going to do a revolution, when all Bernie does is apologize now. Hey, Biden, I'm sorry. Hey, Elizabeth, I'm super sorry I made you
And
mad.
I'm actually really sorry that my original apology wasn't up to snuff. So I'm sorry about the sorry.
These fucking people, man. All right, we
Get out of here.
We got to wrap up. We do got to wrap up. Let me read some of these last few donations here. Hey, Mersh and Royce, I know you like the Kill Tony show. There's a petition on IP2 to remove them off of IP2. What's IP2?
Ice Poseidon 2?
Can people go there and sign a petition not to remove the Kill Tony show off of IP2? Thanks. I'll check it out. Dr. Venkman, MSNBC calls Kobe one of the Los Angeles... We did that yesterday. Just catch up. Catch up, dog. Thank you, though. Rin Rommers, great show guys. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.